This is Ita City Sivarai, stories from NCD that matter to you. In today's show, we focus on the movement against gender-based violence in Port Moresby, as the governor ramps up plans by establishing a GBV task force. Education takes center stage ahead of the National Capital District Commission's takeover, and sporting competitions restart across the city. All this and more on Ita City Sivarai. But first, the big developing story that has captured the city's attention. Port Moresby goes into lockdown again as the second wave of COVID-19 hits the city hard.
Even now as we speak, our doctors, the frontline line, have been sleeping in rate of late for 3 weeks.
The alarming spike in numbers, along with the COVID-related deaths, bringing with it chaos and confusion. NCDC's COVID-19 task force reunited with greater force to take on an invisible army. A meeting was called to plan out the challenges and strategies ahead. Containment and awareness were of utmost concern.
If we can get the mask to everyone before the 7 days, 1 week is up, then we've achieved a lot.
We've already set up a team of women. We've bought them sewing machines, 20 of them, and they're sewing masks as we speak.
We need more awareness. Put a lot of on TV, radio, just continuously, just drive the message through.
And we will sit down and perhaps relook at the budget, reallocate some funds.
As the Rita Flynn Isolation Center started to steadily fill up, greater concerns were raised about the fate of the health line workers.
Currently, I have 17 officers that are on the clinical front. Nurses, drivers, doctors, all 17 of them are not able to go home. So they've slept in Ritaflin for about 3 weeks now.
We can't manage an epidemic when we don't know what's going on. So we have to have test kits. It's not reasonable just to get 500 test kits or 1,000 test kits. We need tens of thousands of the test kits. It has to be a national response.
With PMVs banned, schools shutting, and a nightly curfew imposed, stakeholders agreed that the public must take responsibility for their own health by wearing masks at all times. It was made clear: no mask, no service; no mask, no market; no mask, no taxis.
Nakan waiting government. Virus in anak waiting you na me. Virus in anak waiting 7 days. Me like asking all the family inside our city. You plan on walking mask.
Respect goes both ways. Normal life you may stop long him. You go long clinic, but it's not a local line because staffing, even not got enough nurse and doctor. Rita Flynn has a very limited amount of beds to cater for people who get infected. Let's not get infected. Try our best to wear face mask, wash our hands. You can afford to buy a smoke. You can afford to buy a face mask too.
The next few weeks will serve as the litmus test for Port Moresby's resilience. Now the other big focus of Ita City Sivarai.
We are a sick people. That's what we are.
647 cases in 1 month in Port Moresby.
No to compensation. No to one-talk system.
Let's man up. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. This vicious cycle must end.
The frightening magnitude of the epidemic serving as a wake-up call for PNG, where 2 out of 3 women have experienced violence. In Port Moresby alone, roughly 340,000 women and children are abuse survivors. Women are 5 times more likely to be abused at home than on the streets. And there's a massive cost to business too. A whopping 1.4 million days of work, study, family care are lost due to gender-based violence. But long before the city exploded, the National Capital District had begun work quietly behind the scenes. NCD has formulated a gender-based violence strategy in 2016, one of the first amongst all other provinces of PNG.
NCDC has been working on GBV for a while. We have, for example, a provincial plan to respond to especially family sexual violence. And we set up the secretariat and has been working with all the service providers, health workers, all the safe houses, the police family sexual violence unit. It's been a response to supporting survivors and victims of especially domestic violence.
The strategy was based on 3 pillars. 1, for NCDC to walk the talk and become the gold standard in gender equality, non-violence, and anti-harassment. 2, to deliver accountability by ensuring that NCDC's programs and contractors become leaders in the campaign against GBV. 3rd, to disrupt and demand change at both the provincial and national level. But for a realistic overhaul, true introspection was necessary. The cleanup began at home, with the National Capital District Commission launching an internal survey. The aim? To assess, understand, and change the attitudes and behaviors of the municipal staff and stakeholders. The results were sobering. 55% of the staff didn't believe that men have the right to beat up women, and 92% said ending violence was important. But some of the results indicated the need for urgent intervention. 30% had missed work in the last 12 months due to violence. 1,300 days of work lost due to violence. That's 5 work years. The survey and focus group results drew the spotlight on the way forward.
What we have done, we see a lot of lack of basic services, which in terms of such as water, no lights in the settlements, women walk in the night and it's risky when they go. They're also asking for fast tracking of settlement to suburb upgrading so that other services in terms of water and electricity can go in so women can be more safer.
Let's take the first step. And the commission has to be the standard bearer because we are representation of our people. So if there's any place in this country that we're going to really see meaningful change in terms of reducing gender-based violence, it has to be the municipal government of our capital city.
This case, a pivotal one, triggering a tsunami of reaction against gender-based violence. The outrage, the sorrow, and the anger spilling onto the streets, which turned black in symbolic solidarity. As the citizens of Port Moresby mobilized action against gender-based violence, a defiance was visible, a refusal to let Jenilyn reduce into just another statistic.
Yumi Basanap, United Papua New Guinea. Nagat wamla heavy lo island si come down lo numbers pa brukim Yumi Nagat. Yumi Basanap na call for action. Enough is enough!
At this heartbreaking tribute held by PNG Men Up at Sejongai Stadium, a resolute civil society and leaders took a pledge.
We pledge to man up and not be silent.
And put the onus on men to change.
Let's acknowledge the fact that we men are the biggest problem in this issue, because facts and statistics show that men are the leading perpetrators of violence against women. The people who can make the strongest call to end violence against our women are men. And there are 111 of them that have the power to change the course of this country by changing laws that continue to accord lower penalties for serious crimes against men and women.
We want the offenders, Gawi posted, to serve life in prison. This will send a strong message to other abusers of women.
The entire village of Papua New Guinea is offended by this crime. The village is hurting and the village must find closure, that the prosecution will seek the maximum penalty.
How many more of us? How many more of your sisters and nieces and daughters and granddaughters and aunties and mothers must die before we really say enough is enough?
Enough is enough. The message reverberating even in the highest corridors of power.
No to compensation. No to one-talk system. No to taking cover under the shade of customary and traditional obligations. Those who know about crimes and you don't owe up to be witnesses, you are equally culpable of the offense.
Our constitution is very clear. The first principle, it says that we must all free ourselves from all forms of oppression and suppression. Among the various rights and freedom in our Constitution, there are some fundamental: right to life, right to protection of the law. We have in our Constitution too, Section 55 calls for equality of all citizens. Are all our citizens equal? We have to ask ourselves, has this right become real for all our people? But importantly, women and girls of our country, let's make gender-based violence mainstream in government, in all agencies of the state, in all corporates, NGOs, and in the churches. Let's man up. It's really about the entire country, our potential. What we are failing to realize is that women and girls and men and boys working together, we will achieve a greater country than we have now. We will.
The phone-lit night representing the glimmer of a better future for our women. July saw various Port Moresby-based movements like End the Silence gathering momentum with petitions submitted, pledges taken, and men coming out in support.
We're gonna say it together! Enough, please! This is the time that we break the silence!
The campaign became the voice of the youth, the face of our future generation in the battle against gender-based violence. The protesters marching from City Hall to the Parliament made their intentions clear. The time to change had come.
No matter what, that criticism that you put on before us, we accept the blame. Even though we have never turned away the victims. With your assistance, with your support, we will all fight together to eliminate the gender-based violence.
We had never won an Olympic gold medal, but we topped the charts of domestic and sexual violence in the entire world. Shame on us.
It aches because we have lost a sister, we have lost a daughter, we have lost a mother to gender-based violence.
But mere plans of platitudes weren't enough. Action was required, and required right now.
And I want to say it again.
Being a woman and girl in our country is a risk.
So a task force was created, modeled after a successful partnership during the NCD's COVID-19 experience. A coming together of representatives from National Capital District Commission and their program managers, interest groups like PNG Man Up, NGOs such as Equal Playing Field, Bel Isi, agencies like Family and Sexual Violence Unit, the Metropolitan Police and PNG Correctional Services, youth representatives, and the business community. The task force had a challenging road to tread. Resource gaps, behavioral change, law reforms, intervention required at multiple levels.
Many people do not know the process in accessing, the services, how to, access the police or to go to the courts and stuff like that. Part of our program is to provide case management.
But we have to also focus on referral pathway, real-time case management that's needed for the city.
But if it's going to be done, invest in policing to be more effective than it is currently today.
The idea of using my brothers and sisters, or at least the high-profile ones, just to keep the pressure on, the situation. It's not something that we just put in the back burner and move on.
We work with 500 boys and girls typically in a term. And if we know what those criteria are, then we know that we are aligning with some of the criteria of that gold standard that we want to meet.
No, it's not just law. You're just going to go and tweak the law and that's it. Who's going to implement it?
We are in a crisis. We need to continue this campaign and work so that we fill in the gap where we have failed. And that is when we have reduced or eliminated GBV in our country. NCDC is here to work with you all, and let's make this work a success.
From this multi-stakeholder-driven meeting emerged a smaller technical team. Experts from different fields got together to conceptualize the gender-based strategy for NCD, a blueprint for other provinces to follow. 3 focus areas were chosen: prevention, intervention, and rehabilitation. From these focus areas came 8 work streams. The first one, NCD Gender-Based Violence Impact Strategy, articulates prevention and intervention plans by working closely with the frontliners. The second one, GBV Engagement Strategy, will be focused on continuing the momentum of all the campaigns and protests that the city recently saw. Public memory may be short, so this strategy ensures that GBV isn't pushed to the back burner. The third one is recommendations for the governor to take to the parliament in August. The technical team is working around the clock to put together strong suggestions for overhauling the system. The fourth and fifth is centered around gender-based violence case management workflow, identifying gaps in areas of research, funding, service delivery. A memorandum of agreement will be signed by all stakeholders to commit to the system won't break down. The sixth work stream looks at strengthening relationships and planning continuity once the technical team is disbanded. A division within NCDC will be dedicated to run the strategy. The seventh work stream gives recommendations for monitoring and evaluation, setting key performance indicators. The mechanism will draw attention to weaknesses in the program by putting together a risk management system with triggers. The eighth and the last strategy culminates into a governor's conference on gender-based violence in November. NCDC's plan can be replicated across provinces, so there is a uniform approach. At a weekly task force meetings, these plans being sharpened for execution.
The important thing about this market is that it used to be nothing before, but now we've invested a lot and it's a complete transformation.
To walk the talk, the governor of NCD turned plans into action immediately. At these inspections at the Hohola and Tokarara markets before the opening, the mandate was clear. Security, awareness, gender sensitization, credible partnerships through UN Women were priorities.
And all the vendors are being gender sensitized to respect the market space, mainly space for women. Most of the vendors are women.
But for real change to come, the message on gender-based violence had to go far and wide. Stepping in as role models and ambassadors, even Premier Rugby franchise Port Moresby Vipers echoed NCDC's stand.
You've got a really good team there to challenge the rest of the country. Job done. Forget your careers. Many Dorans, forget it. But at the end of the day, the reason why the Vipers will win is because they have 3 Moresby South boys in the team. And those Moresby South boys will take you over the line.
Vipers portray the true spirit of sportsmanship by playing clean and fairly on and off the field.
And I'm looking forward to support our winning team. Winning both on the field and off the field. On the field, we're going to lift trophy, and off the field, we're going to end gender-based violence.
You can make nobody become a hero overnight with sports. And this is why we continue to support our rugby league team. And they will start to respect themselves because they respect their opponent, their mind grows, and this is the recipe for a fine young man. And I'm confident that they will help us to address some of these issues that we have, especially the issue of violence.
In a bid to reclaim the public places such as the bus stops, the Transport Warden campaign was launched. Safety of passengers, especially women and children, became top priority. These officers were deployed at Boroko, Manu, and Gordon's bus stops, which are notorious for crime. 33 wardens at the Tabari bus stop, 34 in Gordon's, and 24 in Manu now patrol the area. On an overcast Tuesday morning, the tension in the air was palpable. Hectic conversations revealed that a mother and her 3-year-old child were trying to board a bus at the Manu stop, but before the mother could climb on, the bus left with the child. A frantic mother was left behind. Quick calls were made, look out for the child put out, and the wardens were mobilized. Within an hour, some good news. The mother and child were reunited at the Gordon's bus stop.
Thank you. Some Powes Parkop putting this security now. Me to thank you this workflow and I'm giving workflow security now. Kisim ken no man na kam ken no here ken na mi company this beginning.
Which is from me and found a little child. And majority of my members set above me are university school students without no school fees. Girls and women and mothers can work free.
These men and women unemployed and looking for career opportunities have been gainfully employed to look after the city. The vision for an amazing Port Moresby taking shape under the leadership of Governor Powes Parkop, as he lent crucial support for the Nature Park's annual Trash to Treasure Sculptor Festival.
It's not trash, it's treasure. And let's do it again this year.
Created over a 6-week period, the festival is an artistic take on creating sustainable solutions to the massive waste generated by the city of 1 million.
The idea of creating larger-than-life animal sculptures is a visual reminder to every person, young and old, to think about their waste and the need to reduce, reuse and recycle.
Small it may seem, but it's very important. The environment is under stress, and it's not just a responsibility of government. We are inundated with about 100 tons of rubbish every day. Our goal, as I mentioned last year and this year, is to achieve an outcome where there is zero waste.
Education, the other big focus as the NCDC is preparing to take charge of the school management in the city. At this first-of-its-kind consultative forum between the Education Minister and the governors, the highlight was partnership and collaboration. The provincial governments were given a platform to participate in reforming the education sector for Papua New Guinea. The theme "No Child Left Behind" laid the foundation for the 2-day dialogue. The statistics presented created a compelling case for a joint effort. In the past 10 years, PNG has produced 1.2 million semi-educated unemployed people, all under the age of 30.
To us, and where we will support. For the first time in as many years, you have a national government that is pro-provincial government. The national government steps in to support in as far as resource and the macro policies are concerned.
We will be focusing on operational, getting the teachers out, classroom built, school starts, term starts, finish, kind of thing. The students must be your responsibility, Secretary and Minister. Secretary, you and your team spend 1 month or at least in one province, helping Provincial Education Board come out, look at the system, look at the capacity, help them to build it up, and then get them running.
We are better informed, and we are ready and willing to work with this department and of course the national government in improving holistic education for all our children.
Sports, fitness, health became key focus areas for the governor as part of transforming the city into a fitter one, both physically and mentally. The state-of-the-art fitness center boasts of a gym, exercise area, basketball and netball courts, a stadium, and more.
This facility just costs over 2 million kina. Joint funding, we have upgraded the sporting facilities. We upgraded the 2 volleyball and basketball courts. We also upgraded the car park. And of course, we built this Southside Fitness Center, which has toilets, showers, changing rooms, office, reception. Keep these facilities as they are, and also maintain and look after ourselves as well.
The health and lifestyle of our people, quality of life still remains very poor. You just see the physical impression of our people, out of shape, starting with us in Parliament. Health is biggest consumer of the national budget. But look at the health of our people. It has not changed. And this is why, for me as governor, I have started this program, Active City. Critics may be critics, but they don't have solution. We the people, we ourselves must take ownership and responsibility for ourselves. The change starts with you.
With an array of activities such as self-defense classes, kickboxing, acrobats, contemporary dancing, yoga, the Southside Fitness Center becomes the foundation for other programs and a model for other districts of the city.
When we all work together as one, look at the amazing things we can achieve.
And the city was buzzing with all the sporting action in July. The Digicel Cup kicked off with Port Moresby Vipers fighting to regain its pride. At the newly opened fitness center, local basketball and netball competitions organized by Moresby South and Motu Koita Assembly held court with equal enthusiasm. Whatever the results on the field, the real victory was visible off the field. In the stands, men, women and children, fans of all ages, enjoyed a safe weekend cheering for their favorite team. As Port Moresby starts a historic journey with its campaign against gender-based violence, these scenes where young girls and women have a space to express themselves without fear, backlash or judgment. These are the real victories for amazing Port Moresby.